From Wall Street to Main Street, this is Lalate.
It's a huge night for July 3rd, 2022. Big question marks about that financial cliff that's around the corner. That's why you need to get a stimulus check in every U.S. state. In tonight's recording, we go over the situation at hand and why you gotta pounce and get that fourth stimulus check before that financial cliff comes. But the other question at hand is that recession. Has the recession already arrived? I have breaking news tonight from a new report out of Atlanta from the Federal Reserve that signals the recession of the American economy may be already upon us. Also at issue is the new jobs number. That will be released this coming Friday, and it could be big trouble for the U.S. economy. We'll be looking at what that number is going to give us in this recording. The Build Back Better Act is back on, baby. And in today's recording, we go over what will happen with that and when it would pay you money. But has the recession begun, and what does that mean for your money? You need to get as much money as you can. You go right in this video right now and become a member. Purple Hawk, Purple Power, or Casino VIP. You get those incredible checks across the land before this economy turns any more south than it has already. Become a Purple Hawk, Purple Power, or Casino VIP. The link is under the video tonight. And those checks are enormous. They're in every U.S. state. And what do you need to know about them? They're nearly, on average, $100,000 in every U.S. state by federal government payouts. Not from the state, it's not state stimulus, it's from Joseph Biden. And in tonight's recording, say at the very end, we're going to go over how to get these incredible checks. Single individual, $75,000 less, you get them. Married couple, $150,000 less, go get them. If you rent, if you own, if you have children, if you don't have children, if you're on benefits, if you're not on benefits, you stay with me over this 1 hour broadcast. In prime time, we're going to go over these big checks tonight. We're also going to go over the question mark of this economy, as a new worry tonight is that the U.S. economy may already be in a recession, and the worry that a July 28th announcement could signal that this economy has already started that recession. The official announcement could spook the markets. We'll understand what's going on in tonight's recording and how it's not just a bear market. Could be a lot worse. From the shores of Santa Monica, California, stay with me on this big broadcast, get those big checks, and become a member. Purple Hawk, Purple Power, Casino VIP. And with that, let's get to the breaking news. For a beautiful July 3rd, 2022, it's evenings. And good evening, everybody. I hope you're having a beautiful night. It is July 3rd, 2022, from the shores of Santa Monica, California. It's so important to get that fourth stimulus check in every U.S. state, because tonight we're going to look at a series of dates. The first date, of course, is July 28th, just days away. What is the significance? I'll explain it in just a second. And then we'll be looking at the looming announcement of a potential financial cliff. When is its date? Early September. Just around the corner? Yes. Need to get that fourth stimulus check in every U.S. state? Yes. And how do you do it? You go under this video and become a member. Purple Hawk, Purple Power, or Casino VIP. Get that incredible newsletter Monday through Friday, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time via the YouTube alerts. And stay to the second half as we go over these incredible checks. On average, $100,000 in every U.S. state. How are you? Good evening. It's a beautiful night here in Southern California for July 3rd, 2022. A financial cliff is coming. A recession is coming or has already arrived, and July 28th is a very significant day. Let's go over the breaking news tonight. A new report released by the Atlanta Fed GDP Now, which is a tracking tool, and it's live, signals the U.S. economy may already be in a recession tonight. The data is live, and it predates an announcement coming in just days from now, which is July 28th. On July 28th, the Department of Labor will release the growth, the GDP growth of the U.S. economy for the second quarter of this year. A recession is defined by 2 negative quarters of GDP growth. The first quarter of this year was negative. That's already been confirmed. It was a decline of 1.6%. So we're waiting to see the second quarter of 2022. And that announcement officially is July 28th. But tonight on Evenings LA, you're hearing the data alive from the Atlanta Fed GDP now that signals for the second quarter it was negative. Negative 1% is their projection. Their data is live. Their data is generally accurate. Let's go over what you need to know about their data. Their data is live, and it's based upon the events they saw unfolding through the second quarter of this year. That second quarter just ended in late June, and guess what? They see negative GDP growth. That means we're in recession tonight. That tracking tool has a 100% accuracy record in the last 20 years. So if that tool is correct, that means the announcement coming on July 28th would signal this U.S. economy is already in recession. This is a big shocker in so many regards. Why? Let's go back to February of this year. In February of this year, Americans thought this economy was great, but I said it's going to recession. My predictions at the time were the only predictions in the entire landscape of financial broadcast news. I was the only person on air saying we're going to recession. They looked at me crazy at the time. And I said recession in January of 2023. Tonight, the landscape is that most Americans believe we're going to recession. But this tracking tool is a big shocker because they're now saying we're already in recession. We will know for certain on July 28th when it's announced if we are in recession. But you're not going to wait for that. No. Because guess what's going to happen if Americans hear on July 28th they're in recession? They'll start looking for a stimulus check in every U.S. state. They'll hustle and move and look left and right because this will be a major warning signal if the U.S. economy is in recession announced on July 28th. That's why tonight, for July 3rd, 2022, nearly 25 days earlier, you start getting those forced stimulus checks in every U.S. state. We'll go over those checks and how to get them in the second half of tonight's recording. What's interesting tonight, though, is the backdrop of this announcement from this Atlanta tracking tool. The backdrop of this announcement is the following. The National Bureau of Economic Research says that generally this may not actually be a pure recession, but when you see two negative quarters of GDP growth, then the track record is you always go in recession since World War II. Folks, big trouble in so many regards, and that is not why you cannot wait across the land. You got to get these forced stimulus checks in every U.S. state over $100,000 because July 28th is just around the corner. But the question mark behind that, of course, is not only has a recession already begun, but is a financial cliff just days away as well. The question mark looms back to this graphic on this channel. This graphic, which we've been discussing on this channel for several months, is here. November to September is the current state of this U.S. economy. That is where we are tonight. The current state of this economy tonight is November to September, but is that already a recession? That Atlanta GDP growth number says we're already in recession. My predictions is the month of September is a financial cliff, and that phase 3 is the recession. What do we learn this week? We learn this week that an exchange between Jay Powell, head of the Federal Reserve, and Janet Yellen, and also Liz Warren on Capitol Hill resulted in analysis that the financial cliff is very likely. Let's go over that exchange starting right now. During a Senate banking hearing on Capitol Hill, Jay Powell was asked by Liz Warren if a financial cliff is possible, and Jay Powell said yes. The exchange started as follows. Liz Warren, the senator from Massachusetts, on the banking committee, asked Jay Powell, head of the Federal Reserve, Chairman Powell, isn't it true that your mandate at the Federal Reserve is twofold? Number one, to have price stability for complete inflation under control, and number two, maximum employment. His response was, yes, that is my job. And her response was, well, is it possible you may not get it done right? Is it possible by raising interest rates, you may actually send this economy into recession? His response was, based upon world events, we may not get it right. Her follow-up question was, is it possible, Chairman Powell, you're sending us into a recession? Isn't it possible you're sending us over a financial cliff? His response was, a financial cliff is possible. Folks, that's scary. What is a financial cliff and what do you have to prepare for? And what does it mean for you and your wallet? And what does it mean for your stimulus? Let's go over everything you need to know starting right now. A financial cliff is exactly what the word sounds like. It is walking along, singing your song, and then suddenly you fall off a cliff because an event has happened you did not know was about to happen. Financial cliffs don't hit people that already know what's going on with the economy. It hits people who don't know what's going on with the economy. It hits people who think they're going to get something and there's not something there for them. What is the example of the financial cliff that would hit this economy? It would be a change of the events of this economy very abruptly, which we know is going to happen, and that Americans are not prepared accordingly because they expected something else to go on. Let me explain how this will happen for this economy very abruptly and very quickly in my predictions in late September. The way the financial cliff will happen is the following. Number one, for the employment sector, you'll see major changes to employment. You'll go from maximum employment to layoffs to then stage two, which is hiring freezes, and finally stage three, which is store closures. Has that begun? Yes, it has begun. In stage one, the layoffs have already begun. Tesla with 10% of its workforce laid off. Coinbase with 20% of its workforce laid off. And Netflix, Snap, other companies laying off left and right. Has phase two of the unemployment situation started as well? It has started. In phase two, you have those corporate hiring freezes where they're not employing anyone. They're not even taking applications. Has that started? Absolutely. And then has phase three started where you have store closures? In the case of Tesla, it has. Tesla announced going into the weekend it's closing its Silicon Valley location. This financial cliff for unemployment would kick in even more dramatically if a recession is announced on July 28th. Why? Because if a recession is announced on July 28th, what do you need to know? That Americans are going to panic and start to look for assistance that may not be there. And what would that assistance not be there involve? In the unemployment situation, people are going to look for FPC. That wonderful $600 a week that was on top of your weekly benefits. It's not around. PUA, if you're an independent contractor laid off tomorrow, it's not around anymore. No assistance for you whatsoever. If you're an employee and you want those extra weeks of benefits, PEUC, it's not around either. All the unemployment benefits of 2020 that was so wonderful and luxurious are all gone. Let's go over the small business owners. And if your assistance around, no, that's also gone as well. EIDL grant, EIDL loan, PPP, all gone. So Americans who think they have job security may not. Americans who think that they're laid off, they think there's a backup job they can lean on, may not see it anymore. And small business owners who believe that they can have assistance from the federal government lined up, ready to take care of their business if there's a downward side of this economy, may be blindsided. Now, what's also at issue is that we're waiting to see what's happening with this. The Friday jobs numbers are about to be released this coming week, and this is the non-farm payroll job numbers. This is breaking news for July 3rd, 2022. The breaking news on the non-farm payroll job numbers is the reverse of employment. It's basically not how many people asked for employment assistance, but how many jobs were created that month. This is a very important number, folks, and this is a number that Joseph Biden generally gets very angry about when it does not perform. The June non-farm payroll job numbers will be released this coming Friday, and it is expected to come in at 250,000 for the month of June compared to 350,000 for the month of May. What's the predictions? One strategist says we're caught between two negatives. You don't want it to be too strong. You don't want it to be too weak. Employment should slow down from May, whether it goes to 250,000 or consensus of more. That's always volatility, says David Page. The trend is going to be lower. I wouldn't mind if it goes to 150 or 200 by early Q3. He's referring to job creations, not unemployment numbers. What's at issue? The jobless claims every Thursday. This Thursday, we're going to look at that number as well. 250,000 new unemployed people is going to spook the market. It's currently tracking about 230,000. 3 weeks ago, I was the first to really get this on point again. Wall Street should be really seeing about a 180,000 new jobless claims per number per week because we're out of the pandemic. That's what it was before we went into the pandemic. But 3 weeks ago, it shot up. Actually, 4 weeks ago, 200,000. 3 weeks ago, it went to 230,000. 221, as I had predicted at 230. The week after that was 229. The week after that came in at 231 again. The track record is that 3 weeks of 230 is not good, and it's potentially going to go higher. The narrative will amplify this week when we see the Thursday new jobless claims numbers on mornings Lalate at 9 a.m. And then on Friday, when we see the new job creations number released 24 hours thereafter. If these numbers are very weak, then that would signal that potentially we're getting closer to this recession, if not more amplified into the existing recession. Now, here's what's at issue, is that the Federal Reserve is trying to battle a lot of issues, and those battling a lot of issues is ultimately going to be sidelined if the White House does not get gasoline prices under control. We'll be going back to the gasoline prices in just a second. But this is why you have to get that forced stimulus check in every U.S. state. You got to get that forced stimulus check in every U.S. state. Single individual, $75,000 less, you get it. Married couple, $150,000 less, you qualify. If you rent, if you own, if you have children, if you don't have children, if you're on benefits, you get those forced stimulus checks in every U.S. state. How do you get them? Step one, you go right in this video and become a member. Step two, you go down that newsletter Monday through Friday, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and get those checks. And number three, you stay the second half of this video as we go over each of these checks one at a time. Now, the second part of the equation we're looking at right now is whether the Federal Reserve is getting this right or getting it very wrong. Is that financial cliff coming, and has Jay Powell messed it all up? Let me explain what's going on. Back during that exchange of Liz Warren and Jay Powell on Capitol Hill just days ago, Liz Warren specifically asked, do you think you're getting this right? Do you think the raising up of interest rates to battle inflation is going to work? He said it may not work. It may send us over a financial cliff. Back in the month of February, I said whatever he's doing at the Federal Reserve is not going to work. Jay Powell does not have the tools to reduce inflation by raising interest rates. It doesn't work. Have I been correct? Let's go over the analysis with the breaking news tonight for July 3rd. The breaking news for tonight for July 3rd is that we have new data that gives us what the headline inflation numbers have been since Jay Powell started doing those interest rate spikes. And what do those data points show? For the month of March, the number for headline inflation in the core producer expenditure number came in at 6.6. For the month of May, 6.3. So here we go. Let's look at the month of June. After Jay Powell raised interest rates 3/4, half, and quarter, did he get it lower? 6.3. There we go. 6.6, 6.3, 6.3. 3 months, nothing that Jay Powell did worked, and that is why you're going into a recession. A recession is caused by two events. Number one, gasoline prices remain high. If gasoline prices remain high, then inflation remains high. With the CPI, the core producer is the CPI, the consumer price index number, composed of both gasoline and products you buy at the supermarket as the components of that number. If gasoline remains high, then the CPI remains high. Next, if the CPI remains high, then the Federal Reserve, you know what he's going to do? He will raise interest rates. And as the Federal Reserve raises interest rates, you go in recession. Let's go over that graphic together as a family right now. Gasoline prices remain high, then the CPI goes higher. Then if the CPI goes higher, then the Federal Reserve raises those rates across the board. What you need to know is that Jay Powell will continue to do that. And in the next 60 days, we're going to see a lot. In fact, the next 30 days, let's go over everything you should expect from Jay Powell and the Federal Reserve in the next 30 days and what you should expect from the White House, labor, and also your money. It starts with early next week when we see the data coming on in with especially the Federal Reserve. The Federal Reserve will have that FOMC meeting in just days from now in which they'll announce their July announcement for interest rate spike. It's going to be 3/4 of a basis point, and likely they'll give us guidance for the month of September. Remember, they don't meet in the month of August. Number two, we're going to see that 728, that July 28th number from the Department of Labor that signals whether this economy is already in recession. If they announce on July 28th that we had a negative quarter of GDP growth that just ended June 30th, Imagine the shock of the markets. Imagine the shock of the American consumer. Imagine the shock of the American household if everyone wakes up on July 28th and the announcement confirms what you're hearing on this report tonight, pursuant to the Atlanta Fed GDP now, that we're in a recession. Americans are going to panic. Number three, we're going to see the jobs numbers this week, a double whammy of them. Job creations on Friday, non-farm payroll we just went over, and jobless claims on Thursday. I believe that the number for jobless claims is going to start moving up even higher than 230. And when it gets to 240, it's going to really spook the markets. Bear market, yes, we're currently underway, but we're going to get lower across the board. And that's just the first few days of July. That's a lot to digest, isn't it? It really is. And what I need to tell to you is that you will survive the financial cliff if you prepare accordingly starting right tonight, today, this moment. What do you need to do to prepare accordingly for you and your household starting right now? A series of items that involve increasing your savings and reducing your debts. But I also need to go over what this economy is going to do in the next 90 days so that you're prepared accordingly. First, the price of goods are going to go higher. The recessionary winds are going to pick up, and the mortgage rates are going to continue to surge. Lower in the next 90 days will be consumer confidence, dropping dramatically day after day, week after week since the month of May. Consumer spending will pull back as well. Consumer discretionary income will also track lower. Do not depend on gasoline going lower. It's not. Do not depend on inflation going lower. It's not. And do not expect fast action from any agency across the board. And as detailed earlier in this recording, expect the next 90 days unemployment to go higher, gasoline prices to go higher, and interest rates to go higher as well. That, my friends, is why you need to get a fourth stimulus check in every U.S. state. You go right in this video right now, become a member. Purple Hawk, Purple Power, Casino VIP. Then get that membership newsletter Monday through Friday, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Get these four stimulus checks, which I'm going over late in this recording, which are federal stimulus, that are averaging about $100,000 a person. Get that money right now and bulk up your savings. Get stimulus, number one. Remove adjustable rate debts, which are debt that you have where the rate is changeable, variable. For example, car loans or credit card debt. Get rid of it or fix it, switch it to fix if you can. The reason why is because Jay Powell's coming strong with those interest rate spikes. He's going to do 3 quarters in this month of July. They're off in September, and I believe they're going to do 3 quarters off in August. They're going to do 3 quarters, half. And what's at issue is that if Jay Powell continues to do that, we're going into recession. Now, part of the equation tonight, as we go over those 4 stimulus checks late in this recording, is the other part of why things aren't improving. And they aren't improving because of this graphic on air. Gasoline prices. Gasoline prices will continue to track higher and will not stop tracking higher because the administration and the Western allies have not changed opinion about gasoline. Let me tell you the breaking news on the gasoline tonight. First, starting with why gasoline is so important to understand for this economy, and then understanding where it's heading. As detailed earlier in this recording, if gasoline prices remain high, then because gasoline is a component of determining inflation, then inflation stays higher. And if inflation stays higher, then the Federal Reserve with Jay Powell will raise interest rates and send you into a recession. The status tonight for gasoline was updated with comments from Joe Biden into the 4th of July weekend. What did he say? The President of the United States said that the reason why gasoline is high is because of Putin. Is that correct or incorrect? Incorrect. It's very incorrect. The reason why gasoline prices remain high is because of Joseph Biden and the Western allies. Leader Macron of France, Chancellor Scholz of Germany, Boris Johnson of England, and Joseph Biden of the United States. Why? It's a very simple situation, and we're going to go over the details of it starting right now. If you understand gasoline, you will know exactly where this economy is going, and you will prepare your household accordingly really well. Let me explain how gasoline is happening right tonight. When there's a shortage of gasoline, the gasoline prices go higher. There's currently a shortage of gasoline. Why is there a shortage of gasoline? There's a shortage of gasoline because Putin invaded Ukraine. And when Putin invaded Ukraine, the Western allies, France, Germany, Italy, the United States, banned Russian oil. That removed an enormous amount of oil from circulation for the Western allies. At the same time, unfortunately, OPEC Plus, which is a consortium of countries in the Middle East like Saudi Arabia, reduced their production. The totality of both of OPEC Plus and Putin invading Ukraine is a missing 3.5 million barrels of gasoline per day. As of March of this year, there were 3.5 million barrels of gasoline missing per day. So how do you replace 3.5 million barrels of gasoline per day? You go buy them. It's pretty simple. You don't go to your local home improvement store, but you go buy them. And there's 5 countries you buy them from. If you don't buy the missing oil, then gasoline remains in short supply and gasoline prices remain high. So when Joseph Biden said this weekend that gasoline remains high because of Putin, no, it's not because of Putin. Putin brought the price up. Yes, Putin's invasion brought the price up, but it doesn't remain high because of Putin. It remains high because the Western allies banned Russian oil and didn't get a replacement lined up. Has the Western allies changed their policy since the month of March? No. Do I believe they're going to change their policy? No. That means that gasoline is going to remain high, and it means inflation to track high, it means you're going to recession. Now, let me explain what the Western allies need to do to solve the equation. The Western allies need to buy the gasoline from one of 5 countries. They are Iran, OPEC Plus, Saudi Arabia, Venezuela, Brazil. And have they done that? No. Why not? Let's go over the equation. First, we have breaking news on this tonight as well. Brazil and Venezuela were banned by the United States from the League of Conference of the Americas here in Los Angeles less than a month ago. They were not invited. They didn't like it. Do you think they're going to sell you oil? No, they're not. Let's then go to Saudi Arabia and OPEC Plus. The White House admits that the President of the United States is going to Saudi Arabia within days, but is not buying oil there. He says, no, not buying oil there. Interesting. And finally, Iran. Iran is the most likely solution across the board. Why is Iranian oil not available to us currently? Because we have an embargo against Iran because of their creation and proliferation of nuclear warheads. The negotiations to reduce those nuclear warheads and remove the embargo predates the Putin invasion of Ukraine. And it's called the JCPOA agreement. In the month of March, it looked like the agreement was getting pretty close as Germany and France was negotiating on behalf of the United States and Switzerland. But it fell apart. We don't know why. But this weekend alone, we learned from Iran what's the status of the JCPOA negotiations. They said they're basically walking away from the negotiating table, the Iranians, because they said the White House has not moved in its negotiation position in several months. Translation, 5 countries, 5 no deals, still a shortage of gasoline. You're going into a recession. Now, the third element that you need to know is the narrative coming out of the White House is hideously inaccurate. The White House is blaming ExxonMobil and the oil producers as the reason why gasoline prices are high. Untrue. The Western producers of gasoline or the refineries or the ExxonMobils of the world or West Texas or any of the Keystone pipelines or anything in the U.S. soils does not have 3.5 million barrels of gasoline in the ground. There is not 3.5 million barrels of gasoline in the ground in U.S. territories. And yet the White House believes that it continues to say that Americans are going to believe it. They're not believing it any longer. Number 2, the White House announced a gas tax holiday. It's not a law, it's a proposal. Great idea. The White House said it would give a little breathing room to the American worker. True or false? Hideously false. What would give it to them? $1.80. The average car has a 10-gallon gas tank. The tax that you pay at the pump to the federal government is 18 cents a gallon. 18 cents a gallon times 10 gallons is $1.80. Ridiculousness. Finally, the White House said going into the weekend that Americans should be ready to sustain these levels of gasoline for a long time. I think that's a dangerous comment. I got to tell you why, because analysts now believe that the war of Ukraine and Russia will not be weeks, not months, but years. And if it's going to be years, Americans cannot afford these prices of gasoline indefinitely. Where are the prices of gasoline tonight and where are they heading? The prices of gasoline tonight are a little bit down. They've been down in the last 3 weeks. International Brent crude, which is also in the membership newsletter, has been tracking about 111, relatively flat in the last 7 days. And then the U.S. domestic unleaded AAA national average has been tracking down about 30 cents in the last 2-3 weeks. It's about $4.80, down from about $5. Interesting, but don't think that is because it's a deal. It's just because of the volatility of the situation. In the second half, we're going to go over these 4 stimulus checks in every U.S. state, nearly $100,000 for you to go get. I'll explain to you how you get them, how you get them quickly, and how you get them immediately, and understand to go back and get more money after that thereafter. Also, in the second half of this video, we are going to go over the latest update on the Build Back Better Act. Yes, the Build Back Better Act is back on, baby. And what is the status? I'll have the latest details on that as well. Plus, your benefits are going up if you're on SSI, SSDI, and veterans benefits. How much, when, and where? I'll have all those details as well. We got a big night and we're just getting started. But first, here's a little bit about the members community page as a beautiful night of Evenings LA continues. I'll see you back in 60 seconds as the coverage continues. If you want money right now, not 5 days from now, and not 5 weeks from now, then reach out to the community page. The volunteers can help you find that money for rent and utilities. That's at news.la.com/community. The community page features a series of volunteers who are viewers like you. They can help you find rent, utilities, SNAP, food benefits, mortgage assistance, and help you with eviction moratorium questions as well. Their Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram individuals reach out to them and indicate the city and state you're from, and they'll get back to you shortly. That's a community page. Volunteers working for you, viewers helping one another. Stay with LA for more. Join LA Daily for the excitement of the new LA live daily. The excitement starts on mornings LA at 9 a.m. Home LA returns at 11 a.m. daily. And then afternoons LA at 1 p.m. Join us daily as the excitement continues live from Santa Monica on LA Late. And the excitement continues right now in a big, bold, beautiful second half of Evenings LA for July 3rd, 2022. Hope you have a beautiful night. It is gorgeous here along the coast. And it's finally cooled down. I'll be with you live on air all day tomorrow for July 4th, 2022. And yes, the membership newsletter will be coming out this Monday, July 4th. It's a big night, and I'm excited you're here, and we're going to go over those 4 stimulus checks in every U.S. state, starting right now. Over $100,000. Did you become a member during the commercial break? Do it right now. Go under the video where it says join the channel and click the link. Become a member, Purple Hawk, Purple Power, or Calcino VIP. And get that 4 stimulus check before the financial cliff arrives and before we go into recession. We'll be going over all those details starting right now in the big second half. First, let's understand these wonderful checks. These checks are from executive order from Joseph Biden in the month of March. Back in the month of March, the viewers of the channel said, LA, can you find us a 4 stimulus check for us across the board? They're very smart. They learned well. The viewers of the channel were taught by me to get money when times are good. Do not wait until times are bad and get big sums of money. And in the month of March, I found these checks. Executive order from Joseph Biden. Now, the way I talk, my expressions, when I say in every U.S. state, does not mean it's being paid by your state. It's not state stimulus checks. It's from the federal government, but it's across the land. It's another way for me to say it. It's a 4 stimulus check from the federal government, written by the federal government, sent by the federal government. The state's involvement, maybe they put a stamp on the envelope. Maybe they put a stamp on the envelope. This is not state stimulus checks. It's not from your governor. It's not from state law. It's not from anyone in your state. So if you don't like your governor, you don't like what your state's doing, don't worry. They're not paying you. This is not their money. This is federal money. Number 2, eligibility. As Kat, longtime viewer, says, LA, you're very big on eligibility. I am. I want as many viewers to qualify for this money so that you're prepared to go over this financial cliff and not fall down. Eligibility, let's go over it. Single individual, $75,000 less, you qualify. Married couple, $150,000 less, you qualify. If you rent, if you own, if you have children, if you don't have children. If you're on benefits, SSI or SSDI, you qualify as well. Third, these are big sums of money. It's important to know that I want people to get big sums of money, and I want them to keep on getting the sums of money. And finally, fourth, it's important to forget everything you knew about stimulus from 2020 or 2021. This is a different year. It's a different groove. You got to move to groove. You got to move to groove, learn to earn. And these monies are available for you right now, and viewers have been getting them a lot since the month of March. If you just found this channel, welcome, become a member, and let's go over each of these checks, starting with check A. I give it a lettering system on this channel with letters because it makes it simple. And the very first check is check A. It's a $6,500 to $12,000 forced stimulus check in every U.S. state. Let's go over how to get it, what it means, and what it involves. The $6,500 to $12,000 forced stimulus check in every U.S. state is deliciousness. It is for single individuals, $75,000 or less, married couple, $150,000 or less, and if you're on benefits, you go get that check as well. Let's look at that wonderful check starting right now. $6,500 to $12,000 forced stimulus check in every U.S. state. How do you get it? How do you get this wonderful check A? Step one, become a member. Go right on this video where it says join the channel and become a member. Purple Hawk, Purple Power, or Calcino VIP member. Then get that membership newsletter Monday through Friday, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, via the YouTube alerts for members. You go right down the membership newsletter Monday through Friday, and you find that check A. It's described in the newsletter towards the top, and then it has a link. You go right into the nationwide website. You choose your state, and then you apply. It's called the Homeowners Weatherizing Grant Check, $6,500 to $12,000. Wonderfulness. But you're not going to stop there yet. You're going to go get check B. It's a $15,000 to $80,000 forced stimulus check in every U.S. state. Single individual, $75,000 less, go get it. Married couple, $150,000 less, go get it. If you're on benefits like SSI or SSDI, go get it as well. How do you get this wonderful check? Step one, you become a member. Go right in this video, underneath it, where it says join the channel, and click the link, become a member. Then get that membership newsletter written by me Monday through Friday, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, sent to you via the YouTube member alerts. You go right down into check B where it's described, and then there's a link. You click the link, and you go right into the nationwide website. You choose your state, and you pounce. There you go, which so far only through check A and B, and look at that. $12,000, $80,000, we're over $100,000. Have you subscribed to this channel as well? Don't forget to do that. You need to additionally. We're at $100,000, but we're not stopping there yet. Nope, we're going to go get check C. My goodness. Check C is an MSC, a monthly stimulus check, averaging $2,000 a month for 12 months, and it is wonderful. Well, many viewers tracking at $45,000. Early in this recording, we went over the non-existence of certain stimulus from 2020 anymore. That's why check C is so important. Let's go over the notion of the comparisons right now. If you get a notification from your landlord you're going to be evicted, there's no eviction moratorium anymore. There isn't. It's gone. So you need to go get check C's. That's money for rent. What about if you're worried about foreclosure from the bank? There's no foreclosure moratorium anymore, mortgage forbearance anymore. So go get check C and help get some mortgage assistance. What if you can't pay that utility bill? Electric, water, heating oil, goodness, going through the roof later this year. You know that's going to be very expensive. The gas bill, absolutely through the roof. They can turn off the bill. They can turn off the service. It's a different year. They can do that. Go get check C. Check C has been the big success of this channel, with the channel getting viewers on about $50 million since it launched on April 25th, 2020. And the vast majority of that $50 million I've gotten viewers has been for check C. Check C success stories are big and robust. And let's look at some of the success stories starting right now. If you want $20,000 to $30,000 in rent, then go get check C. Let's look at this. There is Nisi under the graphic all the way up to Elizabeth, $20,000 to $30,000. If you want that for rent, go get check C. If you want $5,000 for utilities, like Angela, all the way up to Nancy, but Mark's brother-in-law got $15,000 for utilities, go get check C. Snap, wow, Mark's brother-in-law is getting $25,000 a year over 10 years, $250,000. If you want a combination of them, then do it. And that's what I teach the viewers of this channel. Get checks and continue to get checks. Whether it's Nisi, Mark, Lorraine, Johnny, Margaret, they're in all the live chats on a regular basis. And let's look and see what they have done. These were earlier graphics for their successes. Let's see what they've done since then. Nisi was at 23,000. Now she's nearly at 50,000. She continually gets money every few days. Mark, he was at 32,000. Guess where Mark is tonight? 166,000. He went to 50,000, then he went to 100,000, then he got check B at 66,000. Lorraine, she was at 105. She wasn't satisfied with that. She's gone to $150,000. How do you get that check C? You go right down the membership newsletter, find check C. It tells you where to call, who to speak to, and what to say. Let's recap. 3 things you need to do. First, subscribe to this channel. Go right in this video and hit that subscribe button. Be part of the number 3 most watched financial news channel in America, Lalate. That's heading to number 2. You're going to see a brand new look at this channel coming in less than 90 days. Number 2, go right in this video where it says join the channel and click the link. Become a member. Purple Hawk, Purple Power, or Calcino VIP. People in the live chat that have emoji behind their name are members. Become a member and get that membership newsletter Monday through Friday, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. More about that in a second. And number 3, make sure you go to the front of this channel where there's a little bell and hit the bell so all notifications are set all on. Let's go to that newsletter. Monday through Friday, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, the newsletter is delivered via the alerts. 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. That's West Coast time. So if you're not on the West Coast, know your time zone to know the difference of what time it's for you. That's 7 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. Number 2, at that time, you'll get an alert from YouTube that'll say new Lalate post. The first line of the alert will say Lalate newsletter. You go down in the alert to where it says click here to go to the post. You go to the post, and that's the newsletter. Remember the following. If you're using your cell phone to access YouTube, make sure your cell phone keeps you signed into YouTube. Some people's cell phones are signing them out all the time. The way you see if you're signed in is if you're on the live chat and you see that emoji behind your name, you're still signed in. If you're signed out, then YouTube doesn't recognize you as a member. You don't know how to remain signed into your cell phone, contact your cell phone provider across the board. Now, notice why I led on forced stimulus checks in every U.S. state, not on Build Back Better Act, because Build Back Better Act will not pay you money in time for the financial cliff. Build Back Better Act will not pay you checks in time before the recession of now or the recession of later. Build Back Better Act will pay you checks, but not fast enough. So you absolutely, categorically, will fall off the financial cliff if you wait for Build Back Better Act to become a law. You won't do that on the channel. You'll get those forced stimulus checks in every U.S. state. But we got great news about Build Back Better Act right now. And let's go over the details of it starting this very moment. Is to Build Back Better Act, we're going to go over a series of subjects. First, we're going to go over what the status of the negotiations are, number 1. Number 2, we're going to go over the voting date. Number 3, we're going to go over the projection of when it's going to get done. And number 4, we're going to go over the substance of the provisions in the Build Back Better Act as we know it. And with that, let's go over all those elements starting right now. First, the status of the negotiations. Well, it's all great news. In the last 7 days, the 4 corners met and they got a substantive agreement. The 4 corners are the 2 leaders of the Democratic Party in the House and the Senate. And they agreed upon the framework of the Build Back Better Act. Great. They're ready and to rock and roll. Number 2, my reporting over the last few months was confirmed once again. Leader Schumer, Majority Leader Schumer of the Senate, and Joe Manchin, the senator from West Virginia, have been meeting on a regular basis, and they have agreed to a prescription medication deal. This is a big one. This is a big one because it's been many weeks in the workings, and this is not the only deal they have solidified, but this is the biggest one. Number 3, so far going good? Yes, so far going really well. Nancy Pelosi and Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer, in a joint statement going into the weekend, said that the Build Back Better Act will go to a vote in late July. Everyone laugh on cue right now. How good is Nancy's track record in the month of July? Not so good. Not so good. She's batting, I think, 0 for 2 at the moment. First, in July 2020, she said she was going to extend your FPUC benefits to $600 a week before the end of July. She did not, and the benefits never came back. Number two, July 2021, she said she was going to get the vote for the Build Back Better Act done then. She didn't, and we went into the August recess. So this time around, she says it's going to get done. Well, we'll see. I believe it's going to get done. I don't know if it's going to get done by the July recess. Number three, the narratives are out there, and the narratives are coming left and right. So let me tell you what the narratives are, and this is very important, and it is a little bit complicated, but I'll try to make it simple for you. The Republicans are doing what they always would do, which is to try to confuse you about the Build Back Better Act. Remember, the Build Back Better Act, which has a massive amount of stimulus in there, is a reconciliation bill, meaning that it does not need a single Republican vote to pass. Simple? It is simple. Now let's go to the more complicated issue. The Republicans are saying that they're going to withdraw support for a bipartisan piece of legislation if the Democrats do the Build Back Better Act. Is that just nonsense? It is sort of nonsense. It's trying to confuse the situation. There is another piece of legislation out there for semiconductor chips that has bipartisan support of Republicans and Democrats to alleviate supply chain disruption for semiconductor chips which go into cars and computers. The Republicans say now if the Democrats pursue the Build Back Better Act, the Republicans will withdraw support for the bipartisan legislation. Who cares? I really don't care. I just don't want you confused because you'll hear bipartisan, you'll think the roads and bridges? Yeah, it's a little bit confusing. And finally, let's go over the substance of what is in the Build Back Better Act and what my predictions are based upon the history of the comments from Joe Manchin of what I believe is going to survive or not survive in the Build Back Better Act. There's a series of clusters and add-ons. The first add-on, well, the totality of the Build Back Better Act is $15,000 to $80,000 of checks across the land. The first add-on is $25,000 for the purchase of your first home. I believe it will survive because the housing industry is in big trouble right today. The housing industry is in big trouble as the housing market crash is likely underway already. Housing sales are down 17% year to date. Mortgage applications are the lowest levels in 20 years. People cannot afford a mortgage at 5.5% when it was just 3.25% just months earlier. I believe this provision will survive. The next provision is $250 billion of free home health care for seniors and people on disabilities. If you believe that the Manchin-Schumer deal involves all the elements of medical assistance, then you believe this is going to survive. If you believe the Manchin-Schumer deal is just for medication, then we really don't know. The takeaway is we don't know because they're not being specific as to details with us. The third add-on most Americans of this channel remember, and that is the proposed MSC. Let's be frank, these MSCs pale in comparison to the 4 stimulus checks in every U.S. state I have for you tonight. I have $100,000 for you in every U.S. state. The MSCs are only $6,500 at most, if not less. So nothing to wait around for. You get the money available tonight. Let's go to the individual clusters of the Build Back Better Act, and we'll go over each of those checks and see whether I think they would survive or whether I think they may not. In that first cluster, we have hazard pay. 1 more year of the earned income tax credit from the third stimulus package for essential workers. I believe it'll survive. I don't see there's any reason not for it to survive. $4,000 of elder care, $4,000 of care for young children. Yes, I believe that would survive as well. How about nutrition? Yes. $12,500 for the purchase of a new electric vehicle? Yes. And home repairs? I believe those would all survive. When we go to cluster number 2, it's not the same situation. In cluster number 2, the home repairs has already been removed. That's check A. The $6,500 to $12,000 forced stimulus check in every U.S. state we just went over. That doesn't even exist anymore in cluster number 2. And paid leave, I don't believe it's going to survive. This is if you have to stay home due to sickness or illness because of you or a family member in the household. Joe Manchin's very much against it. I don't believe the provision is going to survive. As we go to the third cluster, it's a lot of medical things. And so we don't know if the totality of the Manchin-Schumer agreements include that or not. Dental, vision, hearing checks, lowering the eligibility age of Medicare from 65 to 55, the Medicaid gap fix, We certainly know free internet's going to survive, but in some regards, that's already law. And there you go. That is the Build Back Better Act. Takeaway is that you do not wait for the Build Back Better Act to become law. It's going to become law. And I will be tracking on a daily basis, hourly basis, with you on air where the Build Back Better Act is, where the negotiations are, where the vote is, what checks are staying in there, what checks are coming out. Remember, because people sometimes want to reinvent history, the Build Back Better Act does not give you a Bentley, a Rolls, or a brand new Jaguar. It's not as lucrative as a lot of people remember it to be. It involves you doing things to getting checks. It's not automatic checks of monstrous sums of money. It's just that culmination of lots of provisions put together as just detail. That's why you want to get the 4 stimulus checks in every U.S. state. The looming recession, if it's not here already, the problematics of a market crash of the stock market that could go down another 26%, because in a recession you go down 48%, and we're only halfway down, and the current housing market crash signals that there's big problems with this economy. Inflation isn't going to go higher. In the next 30 days, we're going to see the Consumer Price Index number released for the month of June. And that number, my friends, I believe is going to shock people's socks off. It came in for the month of May at 8.5%, higher than Wall Street expected, than that 8.3 number. That is when the markets changed dramatically, when that number spooked everyone. We're going to see that Friday jobs number released in just days from now, and that Friday jobs number, job creation may not be as robust as expected. The last time we saw a bad jobs number, Joe Biden was very upset about it. And then, as a recession begun, well, we're going to see if that's the case when the Department of Labor releases the GDP numbers for July 28th to the American people. Remember, 2 negative quarters of GDP growth signals a recession, but even if we don't have that, we may already be getting that problem underway. There's a financial cliff, and the situation for the financial cliff is you need to prepare accordingly, you need to move quickly, and you need to pounce and get every sum of money as possible as well. And what else is coming in the next 90 days? What else is coming in the next 90 days? A brand new me. Well, not me. I'm still wearing the same shirts. Yeah, maybe the hairstyle change. And the flowers, yeah. They're all real, by the way, so they will change, but yeah. A brand new LA coming in the next 90 days. You're going to be very surprised. You're going to be very, very excited. You're going to really love it. You need to prepare accordingly by subscribing. I'll be giving previews and teasers and lead-ups to the brand new Lalate to subscribers and members. So make sure you have your subscription signed up. Go to the front of the channel, hit that subscribe button. Go into the video, become a member. It's important to understand. The landscape of the American economy tonight for July is far different than it was in February. It's far different than it was in May. I believe that the way that the month is going to end is going to be not good. I don't want to use very dramatic words, but I think it's not going to be good. I think that the month of July will be a more severe version of the month of May. Do you remember the month of May? The month of May, Americans thought this economy was so great. And then they had the Walmart and Target corporate earnings. Major miss, and neither retailer gave you a pre-warning. And when you saw those numbers, the markets changed dramatically, even though we already knew Jay Powell's raising interest rates. The market spooked itself, and then suddenly, bad corporate earnings one after another. Going into the weekend, we had Bed Bath & Beyond missing dramatically, and their stock down 20% in one day. In the month of July, starting this coming week, we'll have corporate earnings released as well. And those corporate earnings will give us Q2 results. And those Q2 numbers are not going to be good across the board. That's why you got to become a member. Finally, if you're a member, have you enjoyed the new worksheets? People are loving them. The new Lalate worksheets are for members in the membership newsletter. The third line of the membership newsletter after the daily price of gasoline, corn, and wheat is the worksheets. It's a PDF. You pull up the PDF and you either print it out if you have a printer, or take notes on a side piece of paper based upon the 5, 6, 7 page PDF. What's in there? The first page has a way for you to keep track of the latest news about inflation, recession, Labor and the Federal Reserve are recorded on this channel nightly. Remember, you need to know what this economy is and where it's going to prepare your family accordingly. The second page of the worksheets, viewers are really loving. Of course, there's nothing like this anywhere else in the landscape of broadcast news today. This is a table created by me for you about forced stimulus. The first column is check A, B, C. The second column is the date for you to put in that you applied for the respective check. Then you put in the date you were paid, the months you were paid for. Very important to keep track of it. Remember Nisi, she keeps on going back and getting money, but she doesn't overlap. She keeps track of, I got paid for January, February, March. I'm going to go back and get April, May, June. That's how you do it. Then you want to keep track of your contact name and number, the person you reached out to. You want that relationship because you're going to go back to them and ask for more money. It's one of the most desired pieces of documents that come from this channel. It's the Lalate worksheets, and that's page 3. Page 4 is the fifth stimulus. This stimulus is your raising up of your benefits if you're on SSI and SSDI veterans benefits. We're going over that in just a second. Here you can take notes in there upon the possible raises of your benefits, how much you would calculate out. Page 6 of the worksheets is oil and gas, for you to take notes on what the situation is on Brent crude, the domestic AAA national average, and whether there's any deal being pursued by the Western allies. And then the 7th page is student loan debt forgiveness. Oh yeah, that's happening this month as well. I told you it's a big month of July. In the month of July, I'm projecting that the President of the United States will be forgiving student loan debt forgiveness, student loan debts of $10,000 or less for individuals who make $150,000 or less. This will be the final chapter of the story. Let's recap. The president previously forgave student loan debts for individuals who became disabled after graduation. Then he forgave debts for individuals who went to work in the nonprofit or public sector after graduation. He also finally forgave debts for individuals who were defrauded by the university and whose debts were procured by fraud by the university against them. Now the President of the United States, in my opinion, will, before the August recess, announce $10,000 of student loan debts. That's federal student loan debts, all types of debts, whether you're a student now or were a student. Doesn't matter what university it is, so long as your annual income is less than $150,000. And finally, let's go back to the raising up of your benefits. If you're on SSI, SSDI, veterans benefits, and more, this is also exciting. And guess what? This is also the month of July. I told you there's a lot going on this month of July. Your benefits checks are going up. That has been confirmed by the Social Security Chief Actuary. But how much are they going up? How does it calculate? And what do you need to know? If this is a little bit complicated, don't worry, because it's also in the membership newsletter. First, your benefits are tied to a current benchmark. That current benchmark is COLA. COLA has a sub number that it's dependent upon called the CPI-W. COLA every year is determined based upon the activity of the CPI-W in 3 months. The month of July, the CPI-W, the CPI-W in the month of August, and in the month of September. Social Security's Chief Actuary, Joe Goss, looking at the CPI-W number for May, said he believes that COLA is going up 8% this December. Do I agree? Well, I'm looking at the same CPI data, and I believe that's because it's dependent upon gasoline. Because the Western allies are not getting oil, are not buying the oil, and I don't believe that policy is going to change, that the CPI-W will likely track higher. Again, we'll know for certain in the month of July, August, and September. If the number tracks higher, then the CPI-W goes higher. My projections is it will be higher, closer to about 9%. And if that's the case, then you would see your benefits go up, not $300 more per month, but closer to about $350. And there you go. Is there a financial cliff coming around the corner, and what do you need to know? Let's go over the final things to end the night across the land. Tonight we learned that we're potentially in a recession already, or going to recession. We have big problems on the labor market. We have big problems in corporate earnings. We have big problems with Jay Powell. Is there anything really good in this equation? No, there really is not. Is there anything good on the gas front? There is not anything good there as well. It's a combination of really bad news, and we have a market that's spooked, a bear market, investors all very unhappy across the board. It's just generally not a good environment. And I got to tell you, it's just phase 1. It's just phase one. September's phase two. It's going to be the brunt of that financial cliff. And then phase three is the full-on recession of 2023 for 2 years. That's why you got to get these forced stimulus checks in every U.S. state. You don't wait to get this money. You do it tonight. You do it for your family. You do it for your household. You know where this economy is and where it's going every single day by watching this channel. Programming continues throughout the night with Evenings Lalate every night at 5 o'clock. Evenings Countdown at 6 o'clock. Stream Stimulus at 7. Evenings Extra at 8. Sunset at 9. And then, of course, Lalate Live that starts every night at 5:45 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Go under this video, subscribe. Go under this video and make sure your alert is set to all notifications, all on. And become a member. Purple Hawk, Purple Power, or Calcino VIP. Become a member today and get that membership newsletter Monday through Friday, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And stay blessed. I will see you tomorrow, July 4th, 2022. And yes, there'll be a membership newsletter that night as well. Stay informed, stay focused, have a beautiful night, and stay with Lalate for more.